if you are lonely, is there anything you can do about it? There certainly is. There are effective strategies. I've helped many of my patients relieve their own loneliness using these tips, and we'll take a closer look at them now. There are 4 types of strategies to relieve loneliness. There are 4 interventions described in the medical literature that are effective for relieving loneliness: enhancing social skills, providing social support, increasing opportunities for social interaction, and addressing maladaptive social cognition. This last one, addressing the maladaptive social cognition, is most effective. The first 3 are less likely to be effective because they're less likely to be the cause of the problem. Most of the time, people who are lonely have social skills. They have the wherewithal to engage in connections with others, meaning they're not on a desert island. And what's lacking is a desire to reach out, open oneself up, have those connections. Now, if you find yourself in the first category, which is you lack opportunities for social interaction, then that's very real, and I don't mean to dismiss that. And it's become a greater problem since COVID with shelter in place. If I have interviewed many patients who have been able to sustain, who have been able to avoid loneliness by using online platforms with family and friends, even going on dates and using dating apps to have video dates. There are many opportunities for social interaction online. What I want to talk about further here, though, is addressing these maladaptive social cognitions, because it's unlikely that you lack social skills to have connection, that you actually need social support, which is interventions where someone comes and visits you. And it's less likely that you don't have any opportunities to interact with others. If your loneliness is pervasive and persistent, it's been going on since COVID, you're more likely to have maladaptive social cognitions. If you just moved to a new city or just started feeling lonely since shelter in place, then it is more likely that you just haven't had the opportunities you did in the past for social interaction. But I'm focusing right now on the group who has had loneliness going on even before shelter in place, and not in the context of moving to a new city or living situation. So addressing maladaptive social cognition is done in the context of a relationship with a cognitive behavioral therapist. In cognitive behavioral therapy, you would be asked to identify automatic negative thoughts. So you go through typical interactions with people in a given day, and you just describe what's going through your head when you start a conversation, when you say something, when you wait for a reply, when you get a reply. What you're doing is you're looking for these automatic negative thoughts. This person doesn't like me. This person's not interested in me. I'm stupid. They don't understand me. These automatic thoughts that you hear recurring in your head. And you also look for disconfirming evidence. So when you have a negative bias about how an interaction is going to be with someone, you're going to look to confirm that bias. If you think someone doesn't like, if you think nobody likes you, then you'll take an innocent refusal to hang out one day as a personal indictment, rather than quite possibly just somebody had other plans. And so you look for evidence that maybe not everybody thinks you're crazy, or not everybody thinks you're weird, you look for evidence to disconfirm your negative beliefs. And what happens is you decrease your biased cognitions, not because you brainwash yourself that everybody loves you, but because you actually test your negative assumptions. You actually look for evidence that maybe it's not all doom and gloom, and opportunities for connection might turn out positively. And you get feedback that, wow, sometimes it does turn out positively. And that allows you to decrease your bias going into future interactions. You can also reframe perceptions of loneliness, perhaps understanding them as transitional, or understanding loneliness as a facet of your period of growth right now, that you're re-identifying with yourself, and that it's going to necessitate a change in your friend circle, or it's going to necessitate challenging relationships with coworkers or loved ones. But reframing loneliness as not a personal flaw, but as something that has a cause that you can address. And then enhancing a sense of personal control, understanding that loneliness doesn't come about because everybody came to a judgment about you and what you are, but largely because of the biases and assumptions you have about others, that it's much more in your control than you might have imagined, that you can change those biases and have those relationships, because it's not the case that everybody has judged you and you've been determined to be unworthy. I provide here a reference. Well, if you are interested in cognitive behavioral therapy, it would be highly effective. And I recommend you check on your insurance website for providers and network. You can also check out this link, which I provide in the resource section of this lesson. This link is a list of therapists who have been seen by my patients in San Francisco, and reviews of the therapists. Though these therapists are based in San Francisco, they are seeing patients through telehealth, so more than likely you'd be able to get a visit with them online, even if you don't live in San Francisco.